To 45, um, he's been putting himself first and not America first as he promised. He's been putting himself first, and he's been raised with this "fuck you" attitude that basically he could do what the fuck he wants, and there's no consequences for it. But there will be consequences due to the process of his impeachment and everything. 45 put himself first, his own political interests ahead of the country's national security and free fair elections. Prosecutors as impeachment trial on Capitol Hill said on Thursday, telling U.S. senators this conduct is not America first. It's always been 45 first. Democratic impeachment managers who were acting as the prosecutors bringing the case for 45's removal from office were spending the second day in Washington laying out their case against 45 in only the third impeachment trial in American history. Jared Nadler, the chair of the House of Representatives of Judiciary Committee, argued that 45 should be convicted of the two articles of impeachment passed by the House last month, which was abuse of power and obstruction of Congress for pressuring Ukraine to investigate his 2020 Democratic rival Joe Biden last year and obstructing an investigation into this affair. The squadral stonewalling of Congress is unprecedented in the 238-year history of our constitutional republic, Nadler told the Senate. It's put even Richard Nixon to shame. Democrats who have been hammering against extreme Republican skepticism of the case against 45, a rotation of managers on the Senate floor led by Adam Schiff of California, have presented the 100 senators with video testimony from public hearings last month, interwoven with recently unearthed evidence and analysts detailing 45's scheme. Republicans, for their part, have voted against taking witness testimony while complaining the trial was bringing no new evidence to light, and multiple Republicans called on Thursday for the testimony of Hunter Biden, which is completely pointless because he hasn't done anything wrong, from what they've already determined. The former vice president's son, who was once employed by a Ukrainian gas company. On Thursday, the impeachment manager sought to expose the hypocrisy, as they framed it, in 45's defense by using Republicans' own passwords against them. Nadler played archival clips of Senator Lindsey inbred redneck Graham and Alan Dumbass Dershowitz, a member of 45's legal team, arguing during the impeachment of Bill Clinton that an impeachable abuse of power need not be based on underlying criminal offense. That is the mainstream view of constitutional scholars, but not 45's current defense team. To argue that 45's obsession with a supposed Ukrainian hacking in the 2016 election was far-fetched and crazy. In the other words of manager Sylvia Garcia of Texas, the managers played video of 45's FBI director Christopher Wray, 45's former Homeland Security advisor Tom Bossert, and 45's former top Russia expert Fiona Hill debunking this conspiracy theory that he kept going on about. He must not remain in power one moment longer, Nadler said of 45, and one video clip from last month's House impeachment hearings. Expert witness Michael Gerhardt, a law professor at the University of North Carolina, testified, "I just want to stress that if what we're talking about is not impeachable, then nothing is. This is precisely the misconduct that the framers created the Constitution, including impeachment, to protect against." Democratic House impeachment managers have a total of 24 hours over 3 days, which makes it likely that their case will continue into Friday morning, which is tomorrow. But so far, all the signs are that Republicans are unmoved, even as Schiff presented a meticulous and lengthy narrative on Wednesday, praised by the Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer as a tour de force. The Republicans' body language in the Senate chamber and public statements outside it expressed weariness and disbelief. I think it's now clear we absolutely must call Hunter Biden, and we probably need to call Joe Biden, Josh Hawley, a Republican senator from Missouri, said during a break Thursday. Based on the House manager's presentation today, I think we probably are going to need to hear from the former vice president if indeed we call witnesses. Jay Sekulow, a leader of 45's legal team, argued that nothing Democrats have said had changed the deposition of the case. We declined to comment on whether 45's team would take all of its allotted 24 hours to respond. We're going to use a sufficient amount of time to not only defend our case, but to point out the inconsistencies in theirs. Sekulow said, we're not going to try to run the clock out. 45 is not expected to appear at his own congressional trial. Schumer accused Republicans of inventing shiny objects and so-called outrages to deflect media and public attention from the fairness of this trial. The smooth rollout of the Democratic case had just one hiccup. Shortly before the dinner break, when Schiff teed up a video clip of testimony by National Security aide Alexander Vindman, but the video did not play. "Let's hear Colonel Vindman," Schiff said. "No, we don't have that. Let's not hear Colonel Vindman. We've heard enough from Colonel Vindman." 45 has directed current and former administration officials, including the Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and the former National Security Advisor John Bolton, to not testify. or provide documents, but a Reuters poll this week found that 72% of Americans, including 84% of Democrats and 69% of the Republicans, want to see new witnesses testify in this trial. Schiff and other Democrats have told how 45 and his aides pressed the Ukrainian President Zelensky to investigate Biden, a leading 2020 Democratic presidential contender, and Biden's son on baseless corruption charges, as well as a discredited theory that Ukraine, not Russia, meddled in the 2016 Squad-Roll election. Nearly $400 million in U.S. military aid to Ukraine was temporarily frozen by 45. 45, in his own tiny little peanut-sized brain, seems almost certain that he will be acquitted by the 100-member Senate. And where there are 53 Republicans and where a two-thirds majority of those present is needed to convict and remove him from office, but the political impact of the trial remains uncertain. Yeah, but we need to get him out of there. He does not need to be squatting and fucking everything up more in the White House as he's already doing.